Welcome back to the Future Skills podcast brought to you by Universal Skills. Our guest today is Stephen Smith, the CEO of EV Comply. We're going to be speaking to Stephen about the EV sector and also taking a look back on how Stephen got into the electrical industry from electrician to CEO of EV Comply. Stephen, welcome to the Future Skills podcast. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi Daniel, nice to be on the podcast with you this week.
Great to have you on. We've been working together for a while now, and we're in a series at the moment with a podcast called Be Inspired. So we're looking at inspirational stories. You sit here today on the podcast as a CEO at EV Comply, and I'm really interested to understand, how did you get to this point?
It's took a while, to be fair. Obviously I'm CEO of EV Comply, but I'm actually the MD of a company called Platform De-Risk, and EV Comply is one of our products that we've created for obviously the EV sector. Regards how we got here, the journey to date is obviously, as you know, as we've spoke before, I was a footballer a long time ago, and then I kind of got into electrics quite late, in my late 20s actually. I did the night school, the adult learning, and I wanted to get a trade, and I really wanted to become an electrician. So I managed to do that, and got into working for a decent company, got all the training and started to gain the experience. And then an opportunity came up to go work for a company who was starting a solar division. I knew this gentleman, and he asked me to come on board and start a solar business within his company. So that's what I did. Started from in the solar, doing, I was the salesman, the surveyor, the installer. I was doing everything. A couple of us have brought someone else on board as well, and we kind of grew that into then, bringing on teams, winning bigger contracts, and then started managing contracts. It was during the solar boom actually, and it was fulfilling, and it was challenging. But I started to learn then how to, manage people, manage subcontractors, and police quality, from installs that were getting done. One thing I learned very, very quickly is once you start subcontracting work out to multiple sources, having things in place to help you police that, and making sure that the quality and the standards are still met. I learned that super important. And, one of the things I introduced even back then was inspecting 100% of installations. Wow. And, mistakes happen on site, and it's sometimes it can't be helped. So policing the quality. So got into that, and then as things started to evolve, got into the energy efficiency side more, looking at retrofit installations, and not just solar. There was all kinds of energy efficiency installations, and then ultimately left that business and set up on my own, founded De-Risk, and I had an idea to build a platform to manage. I'd done all that kind of management manually, using the spreadsheets, using all the usual pieces of kit to help you manage a network, and decided we could build our own. So that's what we did. We built our own software system called Platform De-Risk, and we started to manage multi-million-pound contracts for retrofit installations, and we used De-Risk platform to police the network, manage the network, deliver the funding lines, and again introduced immediately a really high inspection regime on installs, and we found that really helped drive the quality and the standards. It wasn't easy inspecting everything, but so that's kind of like the evolution of De-Risk, and it was very successful. But obviously, as an electrician myself, I wanted to be involved in the EV sector and the EV space. I was excited about that. I could see it emerging and things really changing, and I was very keen to use that experience we've got, myself, not just myself, my team as well. And my team has evolved too, but I had the idea for a system to help manage and simplify the process of installing charge points. So I did some research. I couldn't find anything else on the market at the time, and thought, great. So I understood, myself and the team, we understand funding lines quite well. We've worked with really complicated government funding lines for a number of years. So when we looked at the OZEV process, and we felt we could add some value here for those installers and electricians coming on board who might find it a bit too complicated or a bit much to absorb, to help them get their heads around it, understand it, and again deliver the quality, the compliance, and the installations as they should. So that's kind of where we've got to. And EV Comply is obviously it's a product within platform DVISC. So yeah, that's kind of how we got to where we've got to. And then the team's evolved, all the development's done in house, and we just keep growing the team. Now we took quite a few people on over the last 12 months. And yeah, it's going very well, Dan.
Brilliant. Taking you back to the time, the electrician time, you said you did the night school. How did you find your training? Was you one of these people? Here in Wakefield, we've got new groups starting. I always go and see the new groups, and I'll say to some of them, some people will just take to it like a duck out of water. They're straight off the swimming. Some people will learn and they'll struggle and they'll be middle of the class, and some people will need that additional help. People learn at all different sort of speeds. How did you take to the electrician's training?
To be honest, I'm not going to lie. I found it hard because I was working in the day, so I was doing 12-hour days, and then of an evening I was going to college. I enrolled at the local tech college, and I did that for 3 years. Wow. So twice a week I was going down there from 6 to 9 p.m. Of a night, and it was just. If it was something we was doing and that's all I was doing, it would have been fine. But obviously, you can imagine I was working all day, then going to college at night. So it was hard, I'm not going to lie. But every time I passed an exam and that sense of achievement was fantastic. And I was never one for really. I wasn't the kid who loved the exams in class. I was, I used to stay right to the very end, use all my time up, go through my paper over and over and over. I was that guy. But yeah, every time I passed the course or passed a different part of the course, it was a good sense of achievement, and ultimately I got there in the end. So,
How much has it helped you that going through the training, being an electrician yourself, and now having a tech company that can support people out in the field? How much has it helped you seeing it, for real life?
Oh, yeah, I honestly believe, and not just like I say, I always refer to my team, because EV Comply is nothing without the team of people as well. And we've got a dynamic team. For me, yeah, having that site experience, being on site, being a contractor, going into people's homes or trying to win business, pricing jobs, quoting jobs, dealing with all the elements that come with dealing with end customers, the good, the bad, the ugly, problems, and coming up with solutions. All that side of it really helps. And obviously I'm not a software developer myself personally, but I think my experience, and again a couple of the team as well who've got, there's Jim who works for us, he's got over 30 years site experience. It's invaluable. And when you're passing that kind of, when we're looking at solutions, the first thing we look at is how does this work for the man on the ground? What's the easiest way for them to do it? How will they approach this? And then we can try and create that solution to really simplify that, if that makes sense. And guys on site, they don't want to be bogged down with administration or complicated apps, or they've got enough on the plate. Making sure the install's done to an high standard, solving problems on site. Because every job you go to, no matter if it's the same, if you're installing a charge point, for example, no two charge points are the same. There's always a different problem you've got to solve on site. But some are small, obviously, but cable routes or best way to mount something or where to mount it. There's always problems and solutions, and I think working as an electrician, that's part of your day to day, if that makes sense.
It does, and obviously we've been working together for a while now, and you kindly built us and bespoke built us an app for training. So when people come through the EV training at Universal Skills, they get some hands-on experience with the app. And straight away we saw a big change and a penny drop when they understood actually there's some support out in the field for me. Because when we first started EV training here, the OZEV, I know it's changed to OZEV now, but the paperwork was a real big bone of contention. Installers just didn't want to do it, and sometimes would lose out on money because they just didn't understand the process. But your app really takes the headache away there, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, it's good to hear that, because that was the plan. And like I said, we're fortunate enough, so we've had that experience of working with, with all due respect, more complicated funding and grants than the OZEV. We understood the OZEV process quite well, but that's because we're more experienced. But you've got, installers or new electricians or companies who've never really dealt with government funding lines. And then when you start looking at that paperwork and what's involved and the evidence requirements and what you've got to gather to confirm and prove that you've done a compliant installation, it can be overwhelming, and we understand that perfectly well. And that's why, like you said, we've built that training simulation for USG, so you guys can get your students and learners, some hands-on experience, and they can see actually, it's not as complicated as a theory. They can follow a nice structure of working. Hopefully, I kind of demissed it. But yeah, you're right. I talk to installers every day, and they do struggle with the OZEV process, but it's there for a reason. It's there, again, to police quality standards, make sure things are being done properly, and there's a reason for it. So, we do support it. It's just, we want to help and add some value to those who want to get involved and try and take advantage of these incentives while they're there, both on domestic and commercial.
Absolutely, because there's lots of grants still available. And through the training, obviously, people can sign up through the training and get access to the app. But for people that are already qualified and perhaps have already got their EV qualification, they've got their 18th edition, they're out there installing, what's the best way for them to get signed up?
It's just get in touch. We've just get in touch with ourselves. I'm big on simplification, Dan. I like to keep things simple. Why complicate things that don't need to be complicated? So even our sign-up process is really simple. Get in touch with us. We can have you up and running on the system potentially within an hour. Obviously, you'll get the training. You mentioned support earlier, so I did want to touch on that because, yeah, it's a big thing. Again, I always go back to what would I need? If I'm the user, we always have this mentality. If I'm the user, what do we need? And one of the key things is support, because not everyone's a tech genius. I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I've had to learn, and I'm more techie than I was 3 years ago. Put it that way. But if you're an electrician, you might not necessarily be skilled on using apps or using software and things like that. So support is a huge thing, and we want to make sure that we provide that support. So once someone's onboarded with ourselves, we give them training. There's a recognition. You can't learn everything in half an hour, 2 hour session, or whatever that may be. There's a learning process. So we provide all the support, and we invest in our users to make sure they're getting the best out of EV Comply, because if they use it properly, it will undoubtedly help their business. Undoubtedly, it'll streamline the administration. It'll give them a clear structure of working. But there's a lot of really good functionality on there that'll help them, win work and manage work, win jobs, quotes, all that side of it, handovers. So it's just getting and investing in the user to help them understand, get used to the system, and then we just provide the support whenever they need it. It's they can call, they can speak to a human on the phone. So we just keep doing that, and even with regards to the OZEV process, we try and help them with that, understand certain things. We're doing that a lot, to be honest, where installers are contacting us, asking us, what does this mean? What does that mean? And we're trying to give them our guidance and best advice possible. We're not OZEV, obviously, but we can help. We try and help them as much as we can to get into this sector, because it really is. It's a growing sector. It's an exciting space to be in, and the reality is we want as many charge points installed as possible. The government's moving now, obviously, to go full electric. The infrastructure needs to catch up, and there's a lot of things happening to make that the case. And there's some really good businesses, exciting businesses working on some fantastic projects, and that is going to come. But obviously we need more chargers installed. So, we want to help and add value there, and hopefully we can do that. But working with you guys has been fantastic, and I've been down to your facility now a number of times, and where I trained, Dan, I'll be honest, it was nowhere near like what you've got available to these learners at your facilities. And I'm not just saying it, but it's fantastic, the realism. Even the tutors you've got there, the support. I know they give a lot of support, and we've talked before, haven't we, about the team, and you've got you've got a great team down there, and I would have loved to have learned there, to be honest. So yeah, my learning environment was not as sophisticated as yours. It was a bit more sawdust, but
I appreciate you saying that. And I mean, you touched on it before, and honestly, people come round and they're looking at Wakefield, and as soon as they walk through reception, they're drawn to the street and they see the sort of real life environment, and that's all great. But with the wrong people, it means absolutely nothing. And you mentioned the team, and I love it because the team is so important. And when I walk into Wakefield, the training centre here, I'm so proud of the team because I think it's a great place to work, and I see people enjoying themselves. We have tough times, just like any workplace does at times, but the way they've pulled together over the last 18 months during unprecedented time, the team's our greatest strength, and it's great to hear about your team as well.
Yeah, I'll be honest. When I come to your place, everyone's always got a smile on the face, and I always think, whether you're a young kid or an adult learner, like I was becoming an electrician, you always remember the good tutors, don't you? I remember all the key teachers I had at primary school, secondary school, college, and you remember who they are, and
you do.
They do impact. It's a big responsibility being a teacher of any sort. So I think you've got a good team down there, Dan. So, and yeah,
it's appreciated. We a couple of weeks ago we had somebody on the podcast, and he actually got me into trading at British Gas when I became a tutor, and I was getting married at the time, and a bit of a whirlwind going on in my life. And he said to me, and I said this to him on the podcast as well, he said, "You become a little bit famous when you become a tutor." And I thought, well, I'm never going to become famous as a footballer. And it's interesting you mentioning football at the beginning. So maybe I've become a little bit famous teaching gas and electric. And people do remember. I mean, the amount of people that I'm still in touch with, a lot of them from London, actually, that I trained 6 years ago, were so thankful. But, really, they did the work. But they remember you, and it is a great feeling. So
I think as well as a tutor, you can inspire people to go on to do other things. It's one thing going and learning a trade and then going working for someone, but the right tutors can inspire people to also obviously think, I want to go work for someone, gain some experience, but then maybe I want to set up on my own and have my own business. And so you kind of, you're building them foundations, early doors really. But
you are. On the football piece, Stephen, I know it's a bit off sort of subject, but how far did you get there with the football?
I was pretty good footballer, to be honest. Yeah, I was all right. I could hold my own. So I was a centre midfielder.
Right. Bit of Paul Scholes?
Oh, no, I wasn't. No, Paul Scholes is my favourite player, actually. Trained against him a couple of times.
Really?
Yeah, he was unbelievable, Paul Scholes. But yeah, I was a schoolboy at United for 6 years, and then I signed for Stockport County when they were pretty good, actually. They were in second division at the time. Wow. I had a brother as well. My brother played football. He was an amazing footballer, to be honest. He was more skillful than myself. He was different types of player, but to be honest, I fell out of love with football. I had some tragedy in my life early doors. I lost my brother.
Oh, really?
The day after his 21st birthday, and obviously we was. I don't want to bring this podcast down, but yeah, we were best friends, and we're both young footballers, and I felt guilty playing football, if that sounds madness.
No.
I kind of just fell out of it. I had my coaching badges, I've got all them, and I just, so, I lost my way in life early in my early 20s. I was only 22. He's only a year younger than me. And
that's absolutely awful.
Yeah. So I lost my way for a little while. I moved abroad, lived in Canada, went there just to try and escape. And then I came back and yeah, I had to, think, right, what am I going to do? I didn't want to do anything in football, and that's how I kind of looked at. I thought, I need to get a trade of some sort, and that's how I started looking around.
Is that what
Uh,
brought you back, the trade? Did you think I'll come back because I want to get a trade, or what brought you
well,
back?
yeah, to be honest, when I was 22, I got offered a scholarship as well in America to go and play in. I flew out to America and I stayed there for a week at a university there, and they offered me an amazing scholarship. But the reality was, I felt like I was running away, and my parents were struggling and they needed me. So um, I came back really because that's why I came back. My parents needed me around, so I came back. But I didn't know what to do myself. I was lost. I was, going to be a footballer. Then I wasn't. Then it's like, right, now what? Now what do you do? So yeah, that's how I kind of got into later in life. Like I said, I did a few different things, and then that's how I got into electrics. Really, I found something and I thought, I enjoy this, and then yeah, kind of went from there, and here I am today. It's been a long road. I'm not going to lie. It's so worth it. And
Do you
it's
ever look back and realise what you've achieved? I think sometimes, I've met you a couple of times now, and you're very humble. I can see how passionate you are about de-risking, about EV comply. You really hold the company on your back, and you've got so many ideas for it. I find you inspirational to talk to. But do you ever? I always have this thing in my head, sometimes with myself, that we never take that reflection time to go, actually, look what I've accomplished here. You've had some horrendous trauma there, but from where you've come from, you've bounced back from an incredibly difficult thing in your life. You've had opportunities, and a lot of people would have gone a completely different way. But now, you're a CEO of a company that's driving forward, that's growing. You ever look back and reflect on just what you've done?
honest answer. I'll be dead honest. No, I don't. I changed. What happened to me when I was younger changed me. It changed me. It did. It changed the direction of my life. It changed the way I looked at things, and I find it hard looking back. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I just have this. I'm able to compartmentalize things now where, and I just try and look forward. And yeah, I've been asked that a couple of times. You ever look back, but no, I always try. I'm just looking forward. Still got that competitive streak from just what I had when I was growing up as a kid, trying to make it, and I'm very competitive, and I just look forward. I just want to succeed, but I want to do it the right way. I've always felt it's one thing, trying to get there and make a success, but you want to do it the right way, and add value. And that, honestly, I can't stress that enough. That's when I feel like, yeah, that's when you really helped others to succeed as well. And that's when I'll look back and think, this is, yeah, that was good. That's been a great journey, but we're not there
Well,
yet. I've still got a lot to do and a long way to go. But if you'd have asked me when I was 22, you're going to be run a tech company, I would have laughed at you. I
I
would have
think it
said
just
that's
shows you. I
impossible.
think it shows you that I honestly believe that with the right determination and something that you're passionate about, you can achieve anything. I don't think maybe sometimes not everyone can be a footballer, not everyone can be an astronaut, but if you really want to do something, especially now with what we've got at our disposal, you can set up a website in 10 minutes, and it can be
Yeah,
selling products on platforms like Shopify. There's so much stuff that you can do now, and I think your story is. It's one of the big reasons, obviously, we're working together in terms of the support for EV and the installations out there, the guys in the field, and we're mirrored in terms of we want to support the installer. So we
yeah,
love that. But I think your story is so inspirational. And I didn't, obviously I didn't know what you've just divulged there in terms of your brother and the trauma, but where you've got to is quite incredible. So I
I
sometimes think
appreciate it.
that not enough people in business get that one simple thing, which is well done, because to get as far as you've got at this point and to still have that determination and passion to, you're not finished yet. You've got a hell of a lot more you want to achieve. You know,
Yeah,
really well done,
yeah,
mate. And it's been great to have you on. One thing I want to ask is about the sector, just to sort of finish up. From my point of view, you're a lot more experienced in this sector in EV. From my point of view, it seems like EV is really just getting started. We're seeing a lot of our larger clients not just dipping the toe in now, they've probably got the feet in and starting to get a lot deeper into the water. Where do
yeah.
you see the sector at the moment, and where do you see it going? Sort of challenges, excitement. Where do you see the sector going?
Yeah, I think, yeah, you're right. It does. Those who are in the sector, who are involved, and obviously there's a lot of businesses already well established and involved, and pioneering things in the sector. They've been aware. It doesn't feel like it's so early on. Although when we talk to companies every day, and they was like, oh, we've been holding off for a year because we weren't sure if it was going to take off EV. And I find when I have them conversations, it's unbelievable, because there's just like twofold. There's those aware of the sector, and there's those that aren't. And those that aren't really are not aware of what's going on and how much this sector is growing.
Yeah.
What the things that are happening, and especially those who, like I said, they're looking to get cars or whatever, and they're like, oh, there's the infrastructure's not there. But there's so much going on. There's so many things happening. Projects, and the infrastructure is coming, and that's going to be coming. It's the businesses who are, like I said, they're pioneering things, projects, putting new types of things together to enable. This is happening. We're going to be fully electric. It's not. It's the right thing too, but you've got to look at the climate, all these things. It's a good thing that's happening, and for businesses wanting to get involved in a sector, then at the moment I can't see a better sector to be involved in. Even through the last 18 months, it's been absolute crazy what's gone on. No one could foresee what's happened in this last 18 months, and it's been so challenging for so many businesses and individuals, and it's been a real struggle. But this sector has continued to grow at a phenomenal rate, even through what's gone on, and I think it will continue to do so. There's so many charge points got to go in, at so much infrastructure. Again, there's so much space for those coming in with good ideas and work ethic and a good idea and a belief in what they're doing. And there's loads of ways to add value to the sector too. So I think it's still feels it a little in the embryo stages, but over these next few years, it's things are really going to shift. And I mean, everyone's going to be an electric car at some point, Dan.
You see more and more of them now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Especially, I think, because they've started to add the little green indicator on the registration plates sort of this year. I think they're a lot more prominent now. I don't know if it's just more recent with me, but they seem to be popping up all over the place. And there's obviously government incentives for them, and there's incentives if you get them through work. And I think more and more people are starting to learn. But you're right, some people are still not aware of the opportunities I do
think as well. Obviously, the vehicles at the moment are so expensive. When you go around looking at to buy an electric car, they are still expensive. So, to the everyday person looking to change their car, they're looking at circa £20,000 to get a new electric car. I don't know, this is my opinion, but when that real second-hand market kicks in as well, the early adopters, when they start to upgrade their cars, and then it becomes, more available in the second-hand market, I think that will help as well. When more production of cars obviously bring the cost down as well, and I think that will really help, because it becomes more affordable for the everyday person and who can't afford to spend £30,000-40,000 on a new car. I think that'll help. But it's like I keep saying it. I feel blessed to work in this space. I feel blessed to be trying to help as many companies in this space, and hopefully we can keep doing that and do our little bit. I know you guys doing your bit with the training, getting people skilled. We're trying to do our bit, helping them, give them this, business in a box to get into the sector, get moving, learn the sector, and get installing, and all these little bits. It's just we're doing our bit to help that progression. So it's I'm happy. I'm happy about that.
That's great. Well, listen, it's been great having you on, Stephen. Thanks for taking the time out, and I'm looking forward to as well, because I know you've got lots of exciting things coming up. Looking forward to seeing the further strengths that you bring to the industry, because after a challenging 18 months, like you said, I've seen how many updates and changes has come to your app. So I know there's lots to come. But like I say, thanks for taking the time out today. It's been great to have you on. And we'll see you all in the next one.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure, Dan, and anytime. And hopefully we'll get to meet up again soon.
Really enjoyed that one. It's great to have Stephen on the podcast today. The app that the guys have got is absolutely brilliant, and it's a great team at EV Comply as well. There's so much support available for installers. We first started training EV in April 2019, and yes, there's lots of government funding available, but the paperwork behind it can be extremely stressful, and sometimes installers just don't want to do that. The EV Comply app offers so much support and really does take the headache away for the installers, whether you're a one-man band or a large organisation, and it really helps our tutors as well in the centre go through the process as if they were installing out there on the field in a customer's property. The app really does offer all the support you need in the EV industry. So thanks for listening today, have a great weekend, and be sure to subscribe to the podcast. See you in the next one.